What's up, everyone? It is Jason Jani. Welcome back to my channel. I'm pumped to have you here. And in this video, I'm going to answer the question, should I invest in a CO2 handheld gun or should I invest in CO2 jets for my business? So if you're a mobile DJ company, a wedding DJ company, a company that offers proms, sweet 16s, corporate events, or whatever, and you're working in the private event field, I made this video for you if you are considering offering CO2 at your events. Now, I have to go on record saying that this is not an affiliate, paid advertising, anything. I'm going to share some realness with you based on my own experiences owning both a gun, and I've owned multiple guns in my life, as well as CO2 jets. We operate and own a bunch of them at SCE, and we've offered CO2 as an impact moment enhancement for our celebrations. I personally work primarily in the wedding space and corporate space, but I've also spent a lot of time in the club industry. And if you're someone that's ever been to or played in a big club, chances are you've seen this stuff in action. It creates a monster impact moment. And this trend has been popular in the wedding, corporate, and private event industry now for years, but I see a lot of people jumping on board and asking questions about this. Specifically, should I buy a handgun or jets? Now, I boiled it down to kind of give some things to think through if you are on the fence investing in any of this stuff. And before you go off and spend money and invest in something, I think it is important that you do the diligence, and I'm grateful that you've seen this video. So I want to share with you some honest takeaways, including how much it's going to cost to own and operate and what you could possibly sell this service for, and you could do your own breakdown as to is it worth it or not, and how I would go about doing it. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you how I personally would get involved in CO2 if I wasn't offering it already, and hopefully that helps you out. Now, before I jump into this, if you're new to the channel, my name is Jason Jani. I am a DJ, I am a business owner, and I started this channel here on this platform to help pay it forward and share real deal experiences, learnings, and things that I've gone through as a DJ and business owner for you. I'm sharing all of this information here on this platform to help push the bar forward and hopefully help you out. If I save you time, energy, and money, I've done my good deed for the day, and I've helped our industry get a little bit better, a little bit quicker. Resources like this didn't exist when I was coming up, and I'm happy that you are here. If you're not supporting me in this channel, I'd love to invite you to do so with some sub love down below. Just click on that subscription button. It would be something that I really appreciate. If you enjoy the content, you connect with the content, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button. So should I buy a CO2 handgun or CO2 jets and offer it into my business? I guess first and foremost, it depends on who you are, what you're offering, and what you're looking to get out of the experience. You need to understand that. Now, I would go on record saying that CO2 jets require a little bit more work than the CO2 gun. They're a little bit more complicated to operate because you have more hoses, more connectors, more connections, and more things to worry about. The time to set up CO2 jets is far greater than setting up a CO2 gun. So that's something you need to keep into consideration, especially if you're a solo operator or you're a DJ that pretty much flies solo when you do events. You really shouldn't be doing that. But if you are, you need to keep that into consideration because it could take a while to set up CO2 jets and make sure everything's tested and operating properly, whereas a CO2 gun is really just a hose, a tank, and a gun, and it's a little bit easier to move around and operate, especially if you are solo. When it gets down to the impact moments, I think both the CO2 gun and CO2 jets do a great job of creating that wow factor, that big moment at a party of any kind. The thing I would say about the CO2 jets is, although it's more powerful, it's a little bit larger because you have two units operating as opposed to just one handgun. The one thing I would say is sometimes the CO2 jets might come off as more generic as opposed to having the guest of honor or the couple that you're working for or the CEO of a company or the DJ himself blasting the CO2 with the gun. I think that the jets are really cool, but it's not personal. And I think the CO2 gun makes the experience a little bit more personal. I mentioned that because I think it's a big deal. The CO2 handgun creates for an Instagram-worthy opportunity to create social media content real-time at your events. You increase the odds of people not only sharing stories or reels, but even taking pictures and sharing it. It allows you the ability to extend your brand into other areas as people share content and you are there being featured in the photo. When it comes down to the dollars and cents, the investment needed to own and operate this equipment, the jets are far greater in terms of initial investment as well as ongoing expenses operating this equipment. So I wrote some things down so I don't lose track of it, but the hardware itself is far, far, far more expensive in the world of jets comparison to handgun. In order to operate a CO2 gun, you really only essentially need the gun, a hose, and a tank, maybe some washers, which you can acquire all that stuff for under $500. Now, I just bought a brand new Club Cannon CO2 gun. I got the gun for $299. I bought the custom-made road case for it for $169. I bought a 15-foot extension cord, which I think was like 50 bucks, and I bought some other accessories maybe for $25. All in, it was significantly less than the investment required upfront to get involved in offering CO2 jets. CO2 jets are going to run you $799 to $1199 per jet. That's $1,199 per jet if you get the Mac Daddy on the Club Cannon website. In addition to the jets themselves, you're going to need additional hoses, adapters. You're going to need a controller that could run $250 to $500 just for that component of the overall experience. And then you're going to need tanks. Tanks are what contain the CO2 and provide that CO2 through the hose to either the jets or through the hose into the gun. Tanks themselves are a little bit different. For the CO2 jets, I would suggest using nothing less than a 50-pound tank. 50-pound tanks are very, very heavy. They cost more to buy up front. They also cost more to refill, and they are much more difficult to just move around. One 50-pound tank using two jets typically provides anywhere between 60 and 90 seconds at the very most in terms of impact or output from the CO2 jets. In comparison, the handheld gun could use a 50-pound tank, but we typically use a 20 or 35-pound CO2 tank to provide this service. The tanks are more affordable, they are much easier to move around, and they are significantly less in cost to fill. Every time you use this service, you're going to need to travel to a gas supply house of some kind and have the tank refilled. Side note, you're going to have to make sure that if you are operating these tanks and using these tanks, you're going to need to make sure that you are covered from an insurance perspective, but each and every year you're going to have the place that fills up your tank, look at the tank, inspect the tank, and make sure it's operating properly. You don't want to run into a situation where your tank is either leaking or not working properly on site at an event. That could be tragic in a lot of different ways. With all that in mind, you have to do the math and think about how much you are actually making in terms of profit when you consider the initial investment and your cost to operate. So let me tell you about what I would do if I was just starting out. If it was me and I was just starting out, I would first start with a handheld gun and one 35-pound tank. This would allow me to offer the service, create impact moments, create really, really good social media, Instagram-worthy moments at my events, and really get it out there. Upon proving it to be successful and profitable, notice I said profitable, then I would consider either investing in a second gun to offer, let's just say, the wedding couple each to have a gun at the event, not only increasing the line item offering to the client in terms of contract items, but it increases my profitability from a services offer perspective. After I did that successfully and proved that both guns were profitable and making money and desired by the people that I'm doing events for, only then I would consider investing in jets. I almost forgot to give you guys the pricing information. As promised, I want to let you know what we sell this service for to the people that hire us for their events at SCE Event Group. Now, the handheld gun and one tank generally sells for $350. If they want to add a second gun, it's an additional $350, but that's for one tank per gun. Now, if a client is looking to hire us to bring the jets start at $650 and go up from there. That includes one 50-pound tank. Now, you need to take all the costs to invest in this equipment, your cost to own and maintain this equipment, and all the costs associated with going to the shop, getting the tanks refilled and maintained, and bringing it back to the warehouse and getting everything sorted out. And you need to make sure that this service is even worth your time to bring to market for the people that are trusting you with their events. I hope this helps you out. Now, if you have any questions about offering CO2 at your events or anything that you think I may have missed, do me a favor, jump into the comments field down below. Throw your questions, your remarks, or anything that you'd like to add to the conversation in the comments field down below. I'll do my best at responding to everyone and anyone that takes the time to offer me a comment or a question. If you want to check out some of the events that I've been part of, I'm going to include a playlist right over here where you can actually get a front row seat to some of my events connected to the SCE Event Group page here on YouTube. And if you're not following the SCE page, you might want to jump on board and support my entire crew at SCE. Check out this universe of videos, and thank you for watching. Be on the lookout for more content dripping right here in the days, weeks, and months ahead.